all it is that you're doing, Jeremy, if you're
Mm,
saying ads is like putting the fuel on the fire, right?
yeah,
Just put a little more gas on the fire. So it,
yeah,
right? But
yeah,
if they don't have a fire to begin with, then
yeah,
that's a problem. You got to start with the fire,
yeah, yeah.
right?
We're starting off the wrong
What's
point.
lighting you up?
Yep. Hmm.
Right. You're starting with the wrong point. So if those people are without the fire and telling you that, can you just turn on the ad, the faucet, and
Yeah,
make it rain?
yeah, yeah.
That's frustrating for you and for them.
Hey, what's up, guys? Jeremy, the online ads guy here, the founder of Digital Glass Marketing. I had the pleasure of speaking to Humaira Akhter last week, and it was about offers for small businesses, offers when it comes to advertising, offers for a business that don't want to yell and scream and want to go for the typical stuff. So how can you create an offer that aligns with the business owner, aligns with the point of differentiation, and with how the rest of the business understands it and how to deliver it, right? So these are the questions I had because in the world of advertising, it's super competitive, and it's almost feels like whoever's yelling the loudest or can make the craziest claim will always win. I wanted to know if there's another way to do it. So it was a really revealing conversation. I learned a lot from it. And I'm not joking when I say this, is that she's one of the easiest people to talk to and really knows her stuff, and it was really like a back and forth thing. So yeah, if you're a small business doing between 300K to 2 mil, I think this episode is really for you because it speaks right to the heart of what you need to bring forth so people can understand you, which is the offer. All right, take a listen. Thanks. Bye. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Marketing for SMEs. I just want to make sure I get Humaira's name, Humaira Akhter. So that's who I'm with today. And we're going to discuss something quite controversial. I think it's quite controversial. Maybe she doesn't. It's going to be about offers, which is a controversial topic in the world of online advertising. But yeah, so welcome to the show.
Mhm.
So good to have you here.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeremy. I am excited to talk about this as I was telling you that
Yeah.
there's some things that I do prepare for, but this is one
Mm,
of the discussion that I've done
yeah.
a lot of episodes unscripted,
Yes.
unprepared,
Yeah.
and I just went.
We're going to do it.
Just go.
That's
So
the best
yeah,
conversations. Yeah. We're not gonna go
right.
too much onto the Alex Hormozy thing. So everyone,
Hmm.
the first time I agreed to Alex Hormozy was 2021, where someone showed me the purple book, and it just made so much sense to me. The formula, the two things at the top, the two things at the bottom. I said, wow, it just works for everything. And then everybody kind of like abused it, and they were giving away free steaks, free giveaways. They'll give every single cent back if it doesn't work. And that kind of ruined the ads world, big time, I think. And now is whoever screams the loudest gets attention, unfortunately. But yeah, so I would love your take. And then I really want to get into what you do differently, because when we done our pre-call, like I felt something different about what you do. It's a completely different angle. So yeah, please tell the people.
My name is Humaira, like Jeremy said, and I help uh, overextended, multi-skilled experts to uh, go from scattered services to create one genius offer that becomes repeatable, that becomes scalable, and also something that will last probably for a long period of time, that they can sustain that energy. So that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years, I would
Uh-huh.
say, the last 3, 4 years,
Yeah.
really helping people just, especially who are multi-passionate and they have lots of different interests, lots of different, things that they have solved, problems that they have solved
Mm-hmm.
over the years.
Yeah.
But now they've come to a point where they're like, wow, I can do so many things, but there's only one of me.
Yeah.
And yes, I can clone myself with AI and
Yeah.
do a lot of things, but we're not talking about multiplying,
Mm.
copying, making a version of you that can do the same,
Yeah.
that can just copy your expertise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, you can automate things in your business, but
Mm-hmm.
don't automate your certain things that people can get,
Yeah.
you know,
I feel you. And one of the on your LinkedIn
especially your
profile.
expertise.
Yep. And on your LinkedIn
Yeah.
profile, One of the
Mhm.
words, key words, and Eli touched on this when Eli was doing your podcast, is excavate.
Yes. Yes.
Excavate, you're like it's buried underneath or something. Like you have to discover, which I find that so interesting because if you go back to the Purple Book and Hermosi style, it's just like it could be more like it's just on the surface. It's whatever you can grab. That's catchy, right?
Correct.
Multiplier, make it sound like you can get it really quickly, put a guarantee underneath it, and bang, there you go, you got your offer. Right. But your one
Yep.
is coming from like deep within kind of thing. One thing I don't think we
Yeah.
touched on when we first spoke was more about the multidisciplinary, and I was reading your case studies. It's like people who have dual specialties and things like that, and you can help them kind of thread it together.
Hmm.
Is that the thought
Hmm.
behind that?
It's very close. It's close. I mean,
Mm.
yeah, and the thing is, they have done, these are not newbies, right? They're
Yep.
not
Yep.
just starting a business.
Let's make that clear.
These are
Yeah.
people, yeah, let's make that clear. These are
Mm.
people already have put in decade, maybe 10 years, 12 years worth
Yep.
of work,
Mm-hmm.
but they've gotten away from what actually made them genius.
Okay.
They've they've created this dissonance in their work where they have done so many different things
Yep.
that now they've forgotten what they stand for and what they were supposed to be focusing on in the first place. Okay.
Yep.
So what happens is we start to run a business, we come online, and everybody tells you you need to be on social media, which we
Mm.
do.
Yep.
We can't completely run away from it, detach
Yep.
from it, right?
Yep.
And then you start to see what other people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this in other podcasts too, where there are times as entrepreneur, you have to know when to put the blinders on
Mm-hmm.
and when to take it off,
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
right?
In terms of dissonance, I want to explore that for a second because that's I think that's quite powerful
Mhm.
because I only know so much, right? I only relate to me. I only know how to do one thing. I'm a one trick pony. I'm the hammer that everything looks like a nail. So do you deal with a lot of people who have like dominant, like many good things that they kind of get distracted or something? I can't relate to that. Can you talk more about that?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And being good at many, many things is
Yep.
sometimes I call it has its own uh drawback. Like
Yeah.
you could be multi-skilled with, like I used to do when I was doing graphic design, website
Yeah.
copy,
Yeah.
web design, landing pages.
Uh-huh.
I did all sorts of things that people could hire me for. I
Yeah.
even went through a UX certification process,
Yeah. Yeah.
thinking that I might go into UX strategy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
I'm collaborating, where I'm doing facilitation, right?
Yep.
And I did all of that thinking that, oh, maybe that's where my path is.
Mm.
And I would look at my portfolio, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily my portfolio of work, my
Mm-hmm.
design portfolio.
Mm.
I'm talking about portfolio of clients.
Mm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And they all range with so many different type of problems. And
Mm.
now I am scattering myself with so
Yep.
many different energy that yes,
Yep.
I'm good at many things, but it's forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
And being forgettable in the industry is
Yep.
very risky.
Yeah,
It's riskier than
that's a good take. Yeah.
being, you know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
riskier than when
Hell yeah.
somebody says that, oh, I need to be broad. I need to be
Yeah.
able to speak to different problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So
that's not also sustainable.
right. So basically you are saying it's
Mhm.
not as so if by saying like niching down, I'm oversimplifying the situation, right? It's more than that. It's niching down, yes, but
It's
there's more
more than
to
that.
it. There's
Right.
more than that. There's more to it than that. It's also like marrying
Yeah.
it like with your kind of zone of genius. But niching down, let's start with niching down. Niching down, we have to find a place where there's still money to be made, right? Like it has to
Correct.
be commercial
Yeah.
viability first of all. Okay, but then
Yeah.
you want to be remembered for a certain thing, and if we connect the dots back to the offer, How does that work? How's that? Help me connect the dots.
Yeah, so great question. I mean, the commercial viability, after you've reached a commercial viability,
Mm-hmm.
now there's what I say is that, okay, where I find my clients is that is it challenging them to evolve in the next model evolution of, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not challenging you, you're stagnating,
Mm-hmm.
then what I call that you're still living in zone of excellence. Zone of excellence is where
Yeah.
you are striving for being excellent at many different things,
Mm-hmm.
but you still haven't quite focused into what is the zone of genius. Zone of genius is where it doesn't only pay you well,
Mm-hmm.
but these are the clients that challenges you to be better, to be
Yeah.
more edgier at your game.
Right. So you're almost like on the bleeding edge, like you're on the cutting edge of even what you are doing in your industry kind of thing, right? And you're matching that with the service that you're providing.
You're
Is that what you're saying?
While you're challenging certain status quo in
Ah,
your
okay. Yeah.
industry.
Okay.
Okay,
Got it.
you have a frenemy. I call it you have a frenemy, and you're fighting against something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're fighting against something in your business where you disagree with.
Yeah.
And this is my stake that I disagree with necessarily. Like uh, I have nothing against Alex Harbozy or
Yeah. Yeah.
anything. Okay.
Yeah.
He can create 100 pieces every day.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that if a expert business owner who doesn't necessarily looking for to create an agency or
Yeah.
run with a 15 team,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
they just want to be able to make a living
Yeah.
that sustains their lifestyle,
Yeah.
okay, and creates the peace and profits at the same time,
Yes. Mm.
then we've reached a sweet spot, right? And
Yeah.
I believe that there's a lot of people who wants that sweet spot.
Okay.
They're not necessarily looking to be the monsters that this empire building where,
Yeah.
they're constantly on the content machine.
Yeah. Okay. So if we had to bring it to my listeners and they might think, well, can we have a practical example? Because you've been doing this for a while. You must have practical examples of success stories of, no names, anonymous, obviously, like of people
Yeah.
who've kind of you've brought from just from scattered to zone of excellence to zone of genius. Like, is there maybe a practical story you can tell us?
Yeah. So my methodology is something that where I take people through what called the red thread
Mm-hmm.
method, the red
Yeah.
thread excavation process.
Yeah.
And I don't, and maybe this is where I probably differ from all the offer creation
Mm-hmm.
practices out there.
Yeah.
Most offer creation starts with saying, hey, who's your target? Do you understand who's your target audience?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand the problem you solve?
Yeah.
Do you know their pain points? What's keeping them up at 3 a.m. in the
Yeah.
morning?
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
All the cliches. Yeah.
What is their, all the cliches, like these are
Yeah.
fundamental questions you should already know, right?
100%. Yeah.
But I go even deeper.
Yeah.
I go step back. I pull the string back and say, okay, that's fine. Let's say you have all those answers. You've filled out the worksheets and everything. You've taken the courses and
Yeah.
everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're still drawing blank and you are still sort of like every time you try to talk about your offer and market about your offer, you feel that tug.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You feel a bit taken back or salesy or whatever. Emotionally,
Yeah.
you're just feeling tugged,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not excited about it.
Yep.
You're not excited to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I start to dig in. Like, what is the through line of that offer? So let's go back all the way to your story,
Mm-hmm.
your life chapters, which
Yeah.
I break it down to your high points, your
Yeah.
low points, and your
Mm-hmm.
turning points in your life.
Oh, wow. It's so deep. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yes. Please tell us
And
more. Yeah. Yeah.
that could be your early childhood.
Yeah.
That could be your adult phase. That could
Mm-hmm.
be your career phase.
Mm-hmm.
And each of those phases has major high points and low points and turning points in your life.
Mm.
And
Yep.
when we start to write them out, you'll
Yep.
see that there's threads telling you
Yep.
what your next offer could be. And
Right.
I haven't seen people talk about that
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah. No, I haven't
But
either.
when I sit down with a client and they write it down, they're like, I reflect back to them and they're like,
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way. I
Okay.
didn't know that was something already there that
Okay.
I was doing,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know?
Interesting.
So a
Then
lot
he
of
aligns
people,
with them, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Alignment is the word that I'm looking for.
Yeah. Then
Um,
they wouldn't feel so dirty talking about the stuff that they don't want it to talk about, right? And they're coming out with and yeah, no, I see all the time. Look, I tell you something, Mira, that I am on the front lines, right? Where someone comes to me, they've been doing something for a long time, they're very good at it, right? And then they feel dirty about doing advertising. Okay. Because they know they have to be yelling and screaming and all that, right? But I don't see it that badly. I think that they should just do something that's aligned with what they're all about. You know, I have a lot of clients in the arts world and they feel very bad about doing ads, right? And I think that, looking at those methods that you bring to them, maybe they wouldn't feel that way. Do you know what I mean?
all it is that you're doing, Jeremy, if you're
Mm.
saying ads is like putting the fuel on the fire, right?
Yeah.
Just put a little more gas on the fire.
Yeah.
Right? But
Yeah.
if they don't have a fire to begin with, then
Yeah.
that's a problem. You got to start with the fire,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
We're starting off the wrong
What's
point.
lighting you up?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. You're starting with the wrong point. So if those people are without the fire and telling you that, can you just turn on the faucet and
Yeah.
make it rain?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's frustrating for you and for them.
Absolutely, it's frustrating for them. But before coming on the call, I like to do a little bit of prep before my calls and all that, right? Because I don't want to be a clown. So I'm thinking about I read about the through line and all that. I'm thinking, what's my red thread? So there's two things, and I'm not trying to be funny or anything, right? I'm serious. I'm not trying to be funny or try to be
Hey,
hyperbolic or anything like that. So two things that's throughout my life.
okay.
I'm a tight ass. I don't like wasting money. Okay. And I always play the underdog story. Like I'm fighting from the bottom. Even though I'm not. Like I had pretty good family. Like I've always had a roof over my head. But I liked underdog story. And I position myself that way, like, oh, I'm coming out fighting the big guys. Right. So that's been my whole thing. So for me in the marketing industry, everyone says hide your prices. Hide your prices. Don't tell anyone how much you're charging and play around with the prices later. Right. I don't like doing that shit. Straight up. Right. I don't like it. I'm always very clear about the prices and that.
Right.
But that doesn't suit so now I have to package that into an offer. Do you know what I mean? Where it's transparent, where da. So I don't know if this is the type of thing you're talking about. Like you can see something already emerging and it's being excavated, or you think that's not on, like we're talking about two different things.
Are we talking about your context, your situation
Yeah, my situation
here?
is if I'm gonna create an offer,
Okay.
right? And that's my through line, or as I understand it without talking to you first, that's my through line throughout my whole
Mhm.
story, right? I don't like wasting money and I
And
want to bring value
how
to
do you
clients too.
say,
Yeah.
okay, let me ask you a couple of questions. So
Yeah.
where did that through line come from? Why do you think that's your through line?
But I mean, like my parents grew up pretty poor. I think that's probably why.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So I guess they weren't very savvy in how they did things and they probably got ripped off a lot of times. And I probably didn't like seeing that. Yeah. So I'm a lot more careful with money, I think. Yeah. Maybe. I've never explored it. I'm too afraid to explore it. Where these come from, So yeah.
Okay, we're getting something there.
Yeah.
So that fear of, being, and we haven't, we don't, I could do 5 episodes on this, just so you know, like excavation, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
this is,
yeah. I feel you. Yeah.
because it it's a process in terms of writing down and
Yep.
seeing why you think that way. Why have you thought? And yes, it could be very simplified as like your parents always didn't have money, and that's what drew you to
Mm.
uh attracting the underdogs, people who are like don't have a lot of money, but they
Yep.
have big heart
Yep.
and they want to serve
Yep.
and they don't want to screw other people, right?
Mm. Yeah. 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 Yep.
That's
So
probably your biggest thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. So basically, I want people to come to you for these sessions, right? I don't want to get a free session. I don't want to get, clues or anything like that. So is this what we're
Hey,
talking about?
I've done this.
Yeah, I feel you. I
We
feel you.
can if you want to. If you want to take it this way, I'm open to whatever. I've done
Yeah.
excavating right on the spot on podcast,
Yeah.
demonstrating, diagnosing,
I
and
believe it.
I can't tell you.
I,
I can't tell you that person,
yeah. Yeah.
the person who's actually interviewing me ended up being my client.
Oh,
Okay.
even better.
So
I think I'm too afraid to talk about this here on the podcast, but I can see where it can lead. But so this is the kind of like thing you do explore when somebody comes with you to a thing.
100%.
That's what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's very different because going through that phase, I'm gonna end up with an offer that resonates with my thing, and I want to wake up every day
Oh,
doing it. Right? Yeah.
100%.
Mm.
The last client I just wrapped up without telling his name or anything,
Yeah.
that was the biggest testimonial that I've gotten was that I never felt so aligned in my bones.
Well. Yeah.
I've never felt so aligned
Yeah.
in doing the work that I want to do and pursue. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that comes with a responsibility, a lot of fear going after that market because there's resistance there. Because
100%.
what if you don't get accepted? What if you're rejected?
Yeah.
What if people don't like it? And those are the very signs that you should go,
Mm.
I don't like the word dominate, but you should go
Yeah.
lean into it and see what happens. And sometimes the very thing that we're scared to do is the very thing that your audience needs.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Because it's so different. I guess it's differentiated, right? Because they don't get it
Oh, it is
often.
a
Yeah.
huge differentiator,
Yeah.
right? Because if you think about it, like I talk about the concept zone of genius offer
Mm. Mm.
because genius is something it's not like, people think about, oh, it's IQ or being intelligent or being
Mm.
too smart.
Yep.
But genius is actually, it's a calling. It's a
Yeah.
calling that you've been always designed to do.
Mm.
But we're
Yeah.
so close to ourselves that we don't see it. Somebody's got to reflect it back to you.
I feel you. So switching gears a little bit, like, so two things I want to talk about from that, right? Number one is that how did you stumble upon this and what made you have the courage to go after it? Because this is very confrontational.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing that made me want to do it because I've seen the patterns, I've
Mm.
seen the consistent struggle with the
Yeah.
clients that I've worked with,
Yeah.
wanting to change their offers too many times,
Yeah.
have written half finished programs.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe this is the offer that I will do. And then they do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they
Or
didn't
I've
like it.
written them. No, they didn't. Or we've done a lot of not excavation, but we've done strategy work. I used
Yeah.
to do a lot of strategy work
Yeah.
where we would, hey, sit down, we define the audience, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
All that
They have
stuff.
a
Yeah.
polished document, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And then they still don't execute.
Yeah.
There's an execution problem.
Yeah.
And what turns out is that a lot of people have execution and application issue, even though they're intelligent, they're
Mm-hmm.
smart,
Mm-hmm.
they're very capable,
Mm-hmm.
is because there's that dissonance that I talked to you about in the
Yes.
early
Yep.
conversation. Because
That's
your
what's
mind
stopping you.
hasn't caught up with what actually needs to be done,
Yeah. Yeah.
So until somebody's there talking to you and giving you the reflection of
Mm-hmm.
the difference between what you say and what your actions are,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's
I,
not going to happen.
I see it. And over the 5 years or 6 years that you've been doing it, have you like, it must have been rougher at the start in like getting to the core of it. So you must have refined your process over time or anything like that? No, not even?
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh,
I and
yeah.
still am,
Okay.
still am. And
Yeah.
I've simplified every time I've gone through a client.
Mm.
Um, and now that, we have AI,
Yeah.
Claude and all that stuff,
Yeah.
it has made it so much easier for me to like refine my process and simplify it even more. Like, how
Mm-hmm.
can I simplify this talk
Mm.
with one sentence? Like, if you can't explain your offer in one sentence,
Oof.
what
Amazing.
is it, who it's for, what does it do,
Yeah.
what problem does it solve, and all that,
Mm-hmm.
it's in this noisy, distractive environment that we live in. It's
Mm-hmm.
a death sentence,
Yeah. That's true. That's more true than ever.
you
Yeah.
know?
So, yeah. So as I think about like, cause I was, doing so just to break it down for our audience, right? Like if you wanted to work with Mira, it would be like you go through, well, just say your cold audience right from the beginning. You go through like a quiz, right? That's kind of your lead magnet, the 6 question
Correct.
quiz. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, by
So
the way, is getting improved and
yeah.
iterated at the
Well, it's
moment.
very good.
Yeah.
It's already very good. I think
Thank
that
you.
those questions are
Appreciate
spot
it.
on because out of every one of the unique answers that was like multiple choice, like I read it, like I can pick something from it. I go, oh yeah, that's me right there, kind of thing. So it's like so it's there. It's every all the answers are there, and then and you're not afraid to show your pricing on your LinkedIn profile as well, which is
Awesome.
so it is what it is. People can work with you
Right.
if they wanted to sign up.
Yeah.
And so another thing I wanted to touch was that by the sounds of things, once you have an offer, like that lasts a long time because it's all aligned and stuff, right? They don't have to keep doing it over and over.
Now,
Yeah.
it may get tweaked over
Yeah.
time, right?
Hmm.
You may have to adjust it a little bit, but
Yeah.
the core essence of that offer doesn't change because it's
Yeah.
coming from a through line
Mm.
that is true,
Hmm.
that is in alignment with who you are.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the offer creation industry misses, because we can go all on day on target audience
Mm.
and figure out who they are, what they do. But guess what? The market shifts every 5, 7, 2, 3 years,
Yeah. Big time. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I
right?
agree. Mm.
So that's my argument. That's my, what do you call it, stake on the ground and hill to
Uh,
die on,
the
is
hill to
that
die on. You
if
have
you
to have a
start
hill to
that
die
way,
on. Yeah, you have to have a hill to
yeah,
die on. That's yours. No, I love it. I love it. They make the best stories and they make the best guests anyway. Because you have to have something. You know what I mean? Like everyone knows
yeah,
the problem. The problem is that there's too many offers out there. There's like we know that people that change it, people don't have the appetite to change it, and everyone copies everyone. But your thing's unique, Mira.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Jeremy.
The problems.
That's a big compliment.
Yeah,
That's
but
huge. Yeah.
no, that's my audience. I think my audience is small business. They range from like anyone doing revenue from 300K to 2 mil. I think that if someone wants to learn more, they can watch your old podcast. You were podcasting from like 5 years ago. You were guesting. I started this shit maybe 6 months ago, like 3 months ago, because I just wanted to talk to interesting people, and I'm so grateful that I started talking to you. What do you think people should? What else did we not mention this time around? What else do you think people should talk about or think about?
I, I the thing is, we already, my people who are smart and very self-aware, they already know the answers. The cliche, that cheesy thing line that everybody says, the answers is within you.
Yeah.
You just have to find it.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. All of that is true. But I will say that, if you can still be disconnected to your offer,
That's true.
you can be still disconnected to your offer. If
Yeah.
you had all the answers and if you had all the experiences and everything,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes people are like, oh, just tell me, how do I get to connect the dots and connect the
Yeah.
through line and what's going to be my offer? And they want to do this in such a quickie way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, then I'm probably not the right person.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so they have to like let it simmer, like sleep on it, do the work, think on it.
Not only
Yeah,
that, because and I've heard marketers tell me that, like, give them a quick win, give them something to
sure.
chew on, and that's what my quiz is about. Like, go
Yeah,
do it, go through the exercise, and if you can connect the offer, package it, sell it,
yeah,
market it,
yeah.
and you make I don't know 10K the next day, then you don't need me, right?
Right.
Why do you need me for it?
Yeah,
But if you're still doing all the work yourself and you're still not getting it, then there's what I call is that you're missing the dialogue. Like,
yeah,
you and I are having dialogue right now,
yeah.
and there's value in that.
100%.
No AI will be able to
Yeah,
do that.
yeah,
Like, you can talk to Claude all day,
yeah, yeah,
but the nuances, they're not hearing the stories like you said about your parents.
yeah, yeah,
What does that mean? How does that shape your thinking, your belief system?
yeah.
It's all connected to your offer,
Got
how
you.
you talk about it, how you expose yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not ready and if you're not fully invested, fully convicted in your own
Yeah,
words and in your own offer,
yeah.
it's going to show up. It's going to be shadowing you.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think so. So basically, established business owners. You know what,
Mhm.
Mira? I would say even like people who have been trying to do this and not succeeding is the best people to come and talk to you.
Absolutely. I mean, there are people who have been trying to do this for a long time on their own.
Yeah,
And there's also people who I have had conversation in the last few months where they're like, "Oh, but I have enough clients. I'm doing well.
yeah,
I'm not worried about cash flow or anything."
yeah,
And they're sort of like, what I call it coasting.
yeah, yeah,
They're just coasting. They don't have an urgent issue yet,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The urgent problem arises when you have hit a ceiling
Yeah,
and you don't know where you can take it to the next. What what's the next model that's going to challenge you,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to take on projects that are, you know,
I got you.
that kind of keeps your business afloat,
Yeah,
right?
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think people will hit some things, or they're servicing a sector they're not passionate in, but they don't pay a bit of money. They take the shit, they take the like the grunt work kind of thing just to keep afloat. But they could do so much
Just to
more.
keep afloat,
But
right?
they could do so
Yeah.
much more. They could be so much happier, waking up, doing excited about things they're doing, but they're not doing all of that. Yeah, I think that's the
That
difference.
is the biggest problem that I'm solving is that if you don't wake up excited to talk about the offer that you lead
Yeah.
within,
Mm-hmm.
then we got some work to do. And that's where you should come to me. That's
Okay.
the work we do together.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're definitely. I think there's definitely value in the dialogue. I mean, I think that when I'm ready to, confront those things, I think I will come to you, and we'll get something aligned. It's very confronting to talk about my parents and
Well,
the
okay.
things.
Let me
Yeah, yeah,
let me just say one thing.
yeah,
And
sure.
you said something when I'm ready to confront
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
There's something to be uh, spend like maybe 1 minute on there.
yeah. Go for it.
Most of my clients are not ready to confront those things.
Okay.
They're not ready to confront what's really going underneath the
Yeah.
business,
Mm-hmm.
underneath what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that that is actually the time that you are ready. You are most ready than you think.
Yeah.
Okay. Because waiting for that readiness is also a false perception you're creating against yourself.
I can see that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of the time in your life, think about, have you ever felt ready?
I mean, I'm a very safe guy, but I do have to take leaps of faith a lot of times.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Yeah, there are times where you have to calculate, is this a
Yeah.
calculated risk that I'm
Yeah.
taking, right?
Yeah.
I will say though that the clients that who've gone through my program, Genius Offer Blueprint,
Yeah.
the longer they've waited to do the excavation,
Yeah.
the longer they've stayed in that safety comfort zone.
I can see it. 100%. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Of
So,
course.
so
Yeah.
that's where I start to think about, like, I start to push the boundaries and say, what's going to be worth to you looking 6 months, a year from now? The way, in terms of like, not like, I'm going to be happily ever living after kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you want your work to travel, your offer to travel beyond social media, beyond ads, then
Yeah.
what is it that work you want people to be remembered for?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it because every day, like me or whoever who has that inside them and not doing it, you're wasting time and you're wasting money. You're wasting
A
the
lot.
valuable. Yes, yeah,
Yes.
I know that. I know the logical side of it. It's the emotional side I need to get myself geared up for, and I will, and I will. A year and a half ago, I never took business coaching, which I do take business coaching now. So yeah, no, I think that, I'm slowly getting into the groove of all that stuff. I've been in business for 7, 8 years, never done it, but so I'm opening up to more, opportunities now. So yeah, you might see me down the track.
Amazing.
So tell the people how to find you. What's the best way to connect with you? And we'll link it all together. You want to tell them on here now as well, just in case.
Okay. There's a couple of ways that people can connect with me. Actually,
Yep.
three ways. Well, uh, the fastest way is connect with me on LinkedIn,
Yep.
right? And I post regularly there, although it's summer and I'm kind of taking a little break. But I do have a newsletter. I
Mm-hmm.
have a quiz lead magnet where people can take the quiz. Although it is going through a iteration right now, it's going
Mm.
to become like a 5-day course where they get each day a chunk, a little bit
Yep.
of, because right now it's like all one workbook and it can be overwhelming for somebody. Like you
Sure.
said, it's
Yep.
confronting when you have
Yep.
to write down your stories like that, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are not ready for that. So what I'm doing is I'm breaking down the workbook and adding video for each of those days to walk them through the emotional setbacks and things that comes up as I
Mm-hmm.
see within my clients when they do it. But it's so freeing. It's so freeing
Mm-hmm.
once you do it. And the parts that reveals about you is either confirmation, like you're not crazy, you
Yep.
had it in you this whole time,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of external forces are creating resistance to lean into it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right? And we got to find that. We got to understand what that is that, keeping you away from leaning into it.
Yep. Definitely.
Um, so that's what I'm working on. And there's a newsletter that I publish biweekly.
Right.
So yeah,
Lots happening.
that's
So
about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. No, I mean, like, this has been a really fulfilling, I think, probably one of my best episodes where I've spoken to a guest about a lot of touch on a lot of things. Is there any last word you want to leave the people?
Last words, like, am I gonna die
No,
here?
no, no,
I mean,
last words of last words of advice, last words of a quick
I'm
yeah.
joking. I'm joking.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, no, I think one of the things that I encourage people as they get in touch with me, getting connected with me, is that they are intrigued by this red thread exercise
Yep.
and they want me to talk about it. They're like, what is that? They get curious about it. And
Hmm.
that's a really good sign as a creator, as someone who's been doing this work for a while. But I will say that most people stop at that.
Hmm.
If you're really passionate, if you're really someone believes in investing in yourself,
Hmm.
like I know that somebody like me, my clients value not just like doing the work they do for their clients, but they're always improving, developing themselves,
Yep.
understanding themselves better. If that is important to you, then do this work first,
Okay.
then
Amazing.
create your offer, then
Yeah.
create your offer.
Yeah,
Don't
for
jump
sure.
to offer creation right away.
Yep, can't skip this step. No, I love it. Thank you,
No,
Mira. Thank you so much for being on the show, Marketing for SMEs. And yeah, we'll definitely, I definitely want to stay in touch, and we'll put all your links in the, the show notes or whatever, and we'll put it on LinkedIn.
thank
And
you. I
yeah, get get
appreciate
the
it.
get the word out. All right, great. What's up, Jeremy Yang, the online ads guy here, owner of Digital Glass Marketing. If you found whatever you're watching helpful, you found it interesting, like, subscribe, comment, suggest other topics you think we should cover here. We've aimed to release weekly episodes, helping SMEs with marketing, advertising, talking to professionals about growth, processes, all that good stuff. All right, see you on the next one.